Hey, Bruce Naylor here, the Boomer Consumer. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I am an audio enthusiast, and so I review audio gear, DACs, amps, speakers, turntables, all kinds of stuff, new and vintage. And I also talk a little bit about the music that I use to test this gear with. And so if hi-fi and music is your thing, well, this is the right channel for you. But I will warn you, I don't really review high-end products. That's not really my thing. I have a budget, and I think most of you do too as well. And speaking of budget, and got to tell you about the SMSL PA40. That's why you're here, right? To see a review of this. I'm going to give you my impressions of it. But first, I want to give a shout out to Ashota. They're a company that actually sent this to me for review. It's mine to keep if I wish. However, all opinions of my own. No one's reviewed the video prior to posting, so you have that. Ashota, they're the exclusive distributor for a musician brand like DACs and so forth. And they also represent a number of other Chinese manufacturers, SMSL, Topping. They also represent Gestart, I think. So they got a whole bunch of stuff that they do. So thank you very much. Now, on to the review. This is the PA40. This is a desktop integrated amplifier. Even though it says power amp, this has tone controls. You know, it's got volume knob. It's got a built-in, it's got a preamp function as well as a power amplifier. So this is meant for desktop hi-fi. So if you're looking for something smaller, doesn't take up a lot of room, runs nice and cool, affordable. This is only like 140 bucks. So it's very, very inexpensive, but yet delivers a lot of power and it sounds really, really good. Now this is definitely gonna be worth your consideration. Use it for desktop hi-fi. You can use it part of a home theater setup. You could use it with, you know, a subwoofer, I guess. If you wanted a powered subwoofer, you could do that. A lot of different use cases of this, but for most people, this is going to be a nice little desktop or nice little small amplifier. They may connect to a DAC. They might put a streamer with it. You could just hook up a streamer. It's got a built-in DAC and some speakers, and off you go with this. So this weighs just like about 2.8 pounds, and I've got the measurements down there. Measures 7.56 across, 7.28 back, and about 1.65 inches tall. Very small. I mean, compare that to my hand, you can see it's or this little notebook here, you can see it's not ginormous at all. Got a nice aluminum case. It seems to be very, very well made. Got a nice glass display up front. Just one big knob is a multi-function knob in the front, and on the rear, real basic stuff. You got single-ended gold-plated RCA inputs. You have your speaker terminals. You got your power input, which, by the way, is IEC standard power cord. One of the twists about this compared to some others, desktop Class D small amplifiers, this has a built-in power supply. There is no power brick. How about that? No power brick. Now, it is rated at 85 watts per channel into 8 ohms and 165 watts into 4. Some of the other features, let's turn it around. Some of the other features is it also has 5 different EQ settings. It has the ability to control your bass and your treble as well, adjust the brightness of the display, and also 2 gain settings, one for low and one for high. So it's got pretty much everything you need. Preamp, power amplifier, runs nice and cool, built-in power supply. What more is there to say about this? Well, how about this? Many, if not most, of the Class D amplifiers that I've reviewed use the TPA 3255 chipset. This does not. This uses the, and I wrote this down, Infineon MA5332. Now, I was not real familiar with that chip, but there is some solid reasons why SMSL is using it in this amp. And I should mention, there's a DAC that SMSL sells that matches this very, very nicely, and that is the D0100. So I think that sells like 200 bucks. So for what, 350 bucks, you get a nice DAC with ESS Sabre chipset. You get the PA40. Oh, you got yourself a nice system, just a small little system. Let's talk about the chip that's in here, the MA5332. Personally, I was not familiar with that. I did a lot of research on that chip, and there's some legitimate reasons why you'd want to go with that. It is a little bit more spendy than a TPA 3255, okay? It's a little bit more expensive. It's probably one of the reasons why a lot of the manufacturers went with the Texas Instruments chip. Now, but anyhow, here's some of the reasons. Number one, you get just, and I'm telling you, they're both very strong chips, all right? I'm not going to go so far as to say one's totally superior than the other. I'm just going to try to explain some of the benefits of using this particular chip. And one, this got slightly lower total harmonic distortion, but either chip is so low it doesn't really seem to matter. It does have was more superior idle noise and a little bit better dynamic range, but again, infinitesimal amount. But this is a monolithic chipset. In other words, it includes the gates, it includes the output stage, everything in one chip. Whereas the TPA, 3255, is not. All right. There's also minimal post-processing with this chip compared to the TPA 3255, and again, you get a little bit better results because there's less filtering with it. But again, these are all very marginal improvements. But if you're looking to build out and you have to pick between the two chips, and you want one that's just maybe a little bit more sonically superior, not by a big amount, and you're willing to spend the difference, then this is a good chip to use. But there's certainly nothing wrong with the TPA 3255. So for cost and efficiency, yeah, the TPA 3255 wins. But if you're looking for just slightly better, and I mean slightly better performance, then this chip might be the way to go. Setup is a breeze on this thing. I can't tell you how easy it was. I've got the PA40 connected to a topping D70 Pro Sabre Edition, and the source is streaming music from my Plex server via a WIM Ultra. I don't use the internal DAC. We use a USB connection going into the topping. And that's it. That's all we got. Now, as far as speakers, I tested it with Wharfdale Lintons, KEF Q350s, and also Klipsch R51Ms. Those are the speakers that I tested it with. And I think of all those speakers, the ones that I think it sounded best was the Q350s, but those are really nice sounding speakers, especially for the price. What I'd like to do now is show you the menu system and how easy it is to use. So I'll be right back after this. Now let me give you an overview of the menu system on the PA40, and we'll start with the multifunction knob on here. A long press will put it into standby mode. Another long press brings it back. It remembers the volume setting as well as the EQ, bass, treble settings, as well as gain and brightness. So in order to access the menu, there's really two ways. You can use the remote, which is the easiest way to do it, but you can also just give a quick tap, and we'll go ahead and set it back. No, and this is the E. That's going to be for different EQs. 0 is none, of course. This E allows you to get into treble and bass. E1 is for special sound effects. 2 is for bass. 3 is for super bass, 4 is for rock, and 5 is for soft. Tap again, and now this is, we'll get back in there, bass, again, boost your bass, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Tap again, treble, tap again. This is for your gain, it's on low, you can do high. Get back in there. There we go, bass, treble, gain, and then your light, how bright the light is in the display. That's pretty much it. Okay, let's talk about what's really, really important here, and that's the sound quality of this. And I'm of the opinion that, at least I do, and I'm sure many other people feel the same way, I don't want an amplifier to add coloration to the music, all right? Now, some people do. That's, I think, one of the reasons why tube amps are so popular. And tubes do offer a nice warm sound. This is very, very neutral. Nothing's ever, forward or recessed. The damping factor, it does well with controlling the woofers on your speakers. Even when it's cranked up, they don't go nuts, which is nice. I tested this with a couple different demo tracks. Giant Sand is a Tucson album, is a great album. Some jazz. Particularly, one of my new favorites is from Oscar Peterson Trio, and it's called Night Train. Wow, that is just a really, really good sounding jazz. This kind of music that, if you want to unwind at the end of the day and just kick back, and take off your shoes and let the world go by, check out that album. Another one I really love is the Eagles Hotel California in high res, and it sounded absolutely amazing. Again, it's neutral. I never felt fatigued with the treble, and because it is so neutral, you can adjust it right with the treble control, the bass controls to your liking, which is something many of these other small desktop Class D amplifiers don't do. So to put it to you this way, the bass, well controlled, all right? Fast, good, sounds phenomenal, but not overpowering. The vocals in the mid-range, that's where most of the music lives. Very, very neutral. I couldn't be more pleased. It sounds exactly what I'm looking for in the mid-range. I'm not looking for something really forward, or what I'm saying, or recessed. Just nice and neutral. That's it. Perfect to me. And the treble was never bright or fatiguing. And again, you have the tone controls. You can always back things down or turn them up to your liking. Again, this is a feature not available in a lot of Class D desktop amplifiers. Now for the pros and cons of the PA40. First off, pro, no power brick. Big thumbs up for that. That's the last thing on earth I need is yet another power brick, and I'm sure many of you feel the same exact way. It's very, very neutral sounding, so that to me is another positive. It comes with a remote, which I failed to mention in this review. Let me get that. There we go. There we go. You can see it's really, really basic. Basically, you can mute it, you can access the menus from here and raise the volume up and down and turn the unit off and on. It's basically a stripped down version of the standard remote that SMSL ships. There you go. So it comes with the remote. I like the display. I think that's very nice. Well done. Easy to see. The function knob, the multi-function knob, makes it a cakewalk, really, just to get this thing up and running. I like the fact that it comes with the ability to work with your bass and treble. The different EQ settings, if that's to your liking. It seems well made. I will say the knob, the multifunction knob here, is kind of plasticky. So I'm hoping maybe in a future build that they make that out of metal. I like the size. I think it's perfect for what it's designed to do. An excellent price is $140. 85 watts per channel into 8 ohms. Did I mention what it was at 4? I don't think I did. Let me look that up for you. It's 165 watts per channel into 4 ohms. Quite potent. Believe me, 85 watts per channel is more than adequate to drive almost all speakers. There's a few that's harder to drive, you need more power. But for the vast majority of the speakers, no problem. I think most people would probably be using bookshelves with this. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. So plenty of power, the price. Couple things that I suggest. Future build, again, replace the plastic multifunction knob with metal. I'd like to see a 12-volt trigger on this. I think that is important to have. And you gotta be pretty quick using this menu knob. If not, it goes right back to showing you the volume level. So, hey, SMSL, can you slow that down just a smidge? So, final thought. If you are new to HIFI and you are looking to save money on your budget, you're looking for a small form factor, and you're looking at offerings from the IEMAs, Toppings, SMSL, all these companies in the world, this little lamp, because it doesn't have an external power brick, it's got just maybe a slightly better chip in it. It seems to be pretty well built. You want the remote control, then I think this is definitely something that should be on your list. And that's it. Bruce Naylor, the Boomer Consumer. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.